Y'all call that sweet tea. We call it diabetes.
I'm like, what in the country fried is going on right now?
I take melatonin, passion flower, GABA, L-theanine, valerian root, and pray to the dear Lord.
Learning a lot being a California girl living in the South, because it's different here. I've learned when I go to a restaurant, if I order an iced tea, it automatically comes with 3 pounds of sugar in it. Y'all call that sweet tea. We call it diabetes. Learning a lot. Very simple things. Like when I'm in Los Angeles, if I go to a store and they're like, can I help you find anything? I'm like, I'm okay. And if I'm feeling really friendly that day, I'm like, I'm okay, thanks. That's it. That's where it ends. Then I got to Nashville. I'm at TJ Maxx one day. I can hear the ladies in the row next to me. Can I help you find anything? I'm all right, but thank you so much for asking. It's my pleasure. It's a beautiful day outside. Yes, it is, but they say it's gonna rain about 3 o'clock. Make sure you get home before the traffic is gonna be a mess. Bless your heart. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I have energy for the South. I don't know how to do it. Like, who stops talking first? Then I look around the corner and neither one of them even worked there. And then somebody told me this. They were like, hey, when people say bless your heart, they can mean it in a good way or a bad way. And I was like, what? Like, how you do a bad bless? And they're like, no, trust me, sometimes that's not what they mean. So now, anytime somebody tells me bless your heart, just to be safe, I reply with, bless your heart. Yeah, I wish you would bless my heart. Bless it again, go ahead. It's kind of like the old fighting words at church. I'ma pray for you. Oh, that's funny, because I'm already praying for you. Yeah, you been on my prayer wall. About to lay hands on you too, say I won't. Learning a lot. When we first got to Nashville, we were trying to figure out what part of the city we wanted to live in. Like, where do we fit in? Where do we vibe with? Finding out this county has good schools, this county doesn't. This county believes in COVID, this county doesn't. Where do we fit? And I would tell my friends, I'd be like, hey, I want to live somewhere where I could get a lot of land. And they're like, okay, you want to head south. I'm like, okay, cool. But I also don't want my neighbor to be racist, so how far south? You know what I mean. Like, are we talking Franklin or Pulaski? Like, how far? Because when you get to the deep, deep South, it's scary. I've seen movies. I'm not trying to do that. I mean, if they have a TJ Maxx there, I will pray about it. And I'm a good neighbor. Like State Farm, I'm there. I love my neighbors. I'm the one that has everybody's phone number. And if I haven't seen you in a while, I will send you a text. Are you good? Do I need to do a welfare check? I got your back. Because I love my neighbors. Every holiday season, I'm gonna get my neighbors a gift. Not the whole neighborhood, just the houses I can see from a front window. Because I love my neighbors, as long as they love me. And I know that's not how the Bible verse goes. But that is my interpretation. This is not the New King James Version. This is a new Queen Anjelah version. This is Anjelah 5:14. Do unto me as you want to get done. That's how you say amen in my Bible. You could come to my Bible study. It's on Tuesdays. Learning a lot. One thing I learned right out the gate is allergies are a whole different beast in the South. Because when I live in Los Angeles, we don't really get all the seasons. We get summer and fire. So Zyrtec works just fine there. Then I get here, come to find out, Zyrtec lost their subscription or something. It did not work. One day I went to pour the Zyrtec pill in my hand and the wind just blew it off. It was like, don't bother. It's so fun waking up every morning playing COVID or allergies. You guys know that game? Where you wake up in the morning and your sinuses are doing a weird thing, and you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Am I dying or did I have dairy? Can I taste anything? Give me some peanut butter, can I taste? I was actually really lucky. For the first 2 years, I did not get COVID at all. And then earlier this year, she got me, little hoe. She gets around that one. At this point, I know more people who have had it than who have not had it. I know people who've had it with no symptoms whatsoever, and I know people personally who have passed away from it. So my heart goes out to anybody here who has lost somebody from COVID. I've been tested for it many times, and the first time I got tested, my friends tried to warn me about it. They were like, yo, it's intense. And it actually wasn't that bad, probably because they let me do it myself. Yeah, they gave me the Q-tip. And they're like, okay, you want to go all the way in your sinuses? And I was like, okay. Sure. How about I just put it in my nostril and I wiggle it a lot? Can you test boogers? I'll give you some of those. The second time I got COVID tested, the nurse did it, and he went all the way up in there to where like my eyelids started closing. I was like, whoa, you're manually closing my eyelid. He's like, it's not that far up there. I was like, nah, bro, you're in my brain. Like, you're giving basic commands at this point. Like, if I punch you, it's not my fault, you did it. He's like, well, I'm sorry. I was like, no, don't apologize. Just while you're up there, do you mind scraping out some of my childhood trauma? That'd be great. Could you imagine if that was a real option? Get your childhood trauma scraped out with a COVID test. You'd catch me at the CVS pharmacy drive-thru like once a week. They're like, can we help you? Hi, I'm here for my COVID test. Also, when I was 8, my mom forgot me at the store. Another thing I've learned living in the South is the bugs are bigger. Y'all got some Nashville geographic stuff happening here. Bugs, but our bugs are cute. Then I get to Nashville. I went to get in my shower one morning. There was a spider in my shower. Now this spider was so big, I thought I was interrupting him. I did. I went to open the shower curtain. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know anybody was in here, my bad. He was big and he was furry too. Yeah, I didn't know if I should brush it or smush it. I didn't know. He was so furry, he had dander. Ew. I need my Zyrtec pill just for the spider dander. I was like, sir, the Head and Shoulders is right there. Help yourself. If I ever have to kill a spider that big, I am morally conflicted. Because at that point, that's a pet. Put a collar on that thing, that's Bubba. Bubba had plans that day. He was just getting started, he's in the shower. That's messed up. If you ever have to kill a spider that big, you could hear the crunch. And if you hear the crunch, you know that thing had a soul. That's messed up. I used to kill any spider or bug that was around me because I don't like bugs at all. But over the past couple of years, I have this newfound respect for nature and insects. So now, if I ever see a spider in my house, what I like to do is scoop it up in a container, take it outside, throw it in a bush, and then immediately go like this. But if I'm left with no choice and I have to kill a spider, I now like to start with an apology. Listen, sir. I know you weren't expecting this today. I'll be honest, neither was I. Truth is, I don't know you. You could be poisonous and you could kill me. So at this point, it's either me or you. And I have chosen you.
And I had just been there because my best friend lives in Chattanooga, so I'd been there a few months earlier, so I knew the area was under construction. So when I'm in the Uber headed to the comedy club, I say to the fella who's driving the Uber, hey, don't go to the front because you're not going to be able to drop me off there. It's all under construction. So just go down this little side street and you can just loop around the back and drop me off back there. And he goes, hey, I'm f***ing this chicken. Y'all, that is the most creative way I have ever been told to mind my business. I couldn't believe it. It made me laugh so hard that he said that when I got on stage that night, I told the story. And a guy in the audience goes, oh man, I'm from Arkansas, and what we say is I'm f***ing this pig, you just hold the tail. And then a fella over here goes, I'm from West Virginia, and we say I'm f***ing this goat, you just hold the horns. I'm like, what in the country fried f*** is going on right now?
Weed is like steroids for intrusive thought, you understand? The right amount under the right supervision's fine, but what's the right amount? What's the right supervision, okay? Nobody I know personally, that's a fact. I'll take it, I'll smoke weed sometimes and my thoughts are great. They're intrusive, but they knock at least. You understand? There I am, just like, hey man, just because I enjoy performing cunnilingus does not mean I have cannibalism in my DNA. No way, man, that's just a metaphor, right? Eating pussy, you're not literally devouring labia. That's just a metaphor. I love metaphors. Who doesn't love metaphors? Metaphors are fantastic. One time I metaphored, they were great. She was cool as shit. Damn right she was. I'm probably a 4. I should have said, hey, fellow 4, together we can make an 8. Oh, that's sexy. I'm glad I'm a Scorpio. Wow, look at this cat. I want to pet this cat, but what if it scratches me? I've been through worse adversity, me. I gotta live my life. I gotta live. Fuck it, let's do it. Here we are. Listen to this cat purr. It's awesome. Sounds like it's beatboxing. I should drop some rhymes, be a cat rapper. Hell yeah, this is the only pussy I'll ever need. Fun thoughts. However, then comes the moment when I look up and see a stranger across the street that resembles Jeffrey Dahmer. And that's all it takes. The reminder that evil exists, and my thoughts go dark. Like, I hope I don't put this cat in the microwave, but what if I'm a serial killer? Why would I be a serial killer? I mean, I guess I did piss my bed till I was 31. Jesus, I hope I don't throw my brother out the window. But what if I show my dick to my dad? Why would I show my dad my dick? Because I'm gonna be the first son to molest his father? Oh my God, I hope not. I know I'm gonna see grandma tomorrow. I sure hope I don't grab her tits. But what if I grab her tits? But I would never grab her tits. But maybe I will, right there at the wake, in front of everyone. Just grab her big old dead titties, and everyone would just assume I'm grieving. Like, that boy sure loves his Meemaw, but I would never grab Meemaw's tits. Maybe that's why she died. I didn't love her enough. But all this would look like to you is this. I almost stopped touching my asshole once. Once and only once. On September 2nd, 2005. Now, if you grew up in this area, in the Gulf coastal region, I probably shouldn't have to remind you what happened 4 days before that on August 29th, 2005. Yeah, Michael Jackson's 57th birthday? You were there? I know, we missed that because we were busy evacuating from a fucking storm. Hurricane Katrina makes landfall. Now, I don't really remember that morning because I woke up in the afternoon. I woke up because my phone had been ringing nonstop. At that point, I had 8 missed calls from my dad. Now, my dad is a small business owner. All my life, I've only ever heard him answer the phone one way and one way only, like this. This is Tim, every time, everywhere. Obviously in the office, but also at home. This is Tim, at a relative's house. The phone's ringing. He's like, I'll get it. This is Tim. We gotta walk past a payphone ringing. He'd be like, excuse me. This is Tim. His name was Tim. I mean, it's not a joke. It's not like his name's Gary and it's just a prank he's been playing for 30 years on strangers. Like, this is Tim. They think I'm Tim. Yeah, this is still Tim. What a bunch of doofuses. And he never looked at caller ID. It's something I always noticed. When he got a cell phone, he would just answer. And knowing my dad, he had a whole system worked out as to why he would never look at caller ID. Like, listen, every time you look at caller ID, that's 3 seconds, wasted. Add that up over a full day, that's a whole minute, gone. Now add that up over a year, that's 8 hours, gone. That's a whole day wasted checking caller ID. I ain't got a whole day to waste checking caller ID, son. I got a business to run. Excuse me, this is Tim. So he calls again, and I would often answer and go, this is Sean. But I didn't even get to that point. The moment I answered the phone, he goes, where the fuck are you? He was with my 2 youngest siblings heading to my other sister's house in Baton Rouge, right? Which was strange to me because my dad, we never evacuated. My dad had been through every single hurricane that hit this area since 1952. The Murderers Row, all of them. Camille, Betsy, Andrew, he'd been through, and like we were oftentimes there, like, we never evacuated, man, ever, right? I mean, hurricanes can be fun. It's a category 3 or less, you know, you get all your snacks in there, all your, you know, if you're an adult, you get some booze. If you're a child around here, you get some booze as well, you know? The power goes out, the rain's coming down, the wind, the lightning. You go out in the middle of it with your sister, pretend like you're in a Creed video. It's a great time. We never left, but something about Katrina terrified him. He was out. He says to me, get the fuck up now, pack up anything you care about, get to the hospital, get your mom, get to errands. My mom was an RN, right? She was at work. So how did I respond? I went back to sleep. I got to the hospital an hour later than I was supposed to, and at that point, they were begging her to stay. They had let too many people go already. They were begging my mom to stay. She had every right to leave, The supervisor's there with tears in his eyes, and she said yes. She chose to stay, to do her fucking job. Get the fuck out of here, to me. Go now. You gotta go. I didn't even try. I was like, okay. By the time I got to Baton Rouge, right, my dad was asleep when I walked in, exhausted from getting everybody out of there. I woke him up and expected him to bite my head off and spit it back down my neck. Clearly, my mom had called him and told him that I was an hour late and she couldn't leave because of me, but she didn't. She was not a snitch. And he hadn't heard from her since before I had, since way earlier that day. So I lied to him. I lied and said they wouldn't let her go. I lied and said, I tried to get her out of there. And they wouldn't let her go, the bastards. And my dad did what my dad do. My dad did what my dad do. You know? That alligator tongue coming out of me. My dad did what my dad does. My dad put his best foot forward. That's something he taught me from the get-go. Always put your best foot forward. You have no clue what everybody else in that situation is going through. You got to be better than even you are. And he did that in that moment. His response was, don't worry about your mama, boy. She's meaner than any damn hurricane. Plus, I could just go live with my other wife. Give a shit. He was being strong in case the rest of us were about to be weak, right? Storm hits. Day or two goes by every day. She'll call. And you remember the media back then, they weren't exactly checking their facts, all right? The prisoners of Orleans Parish Prison have escaped and gotten custody of a nuclear warhead. Like, custody of a nuclear warhead? The fuck? Is anybody fact-checking or grammar-checking these assholes? They were just putting everything out there. The city's overrun by mer people. It's fucking insane. There's a kraken. That's why people, those of us from this area we're not very shocked at what the media's become. Because we're like, oh, the media's full of shit all the time? No, duh. Gotcha. The national media, I mean. But like, every day was just going by. She'll call, not a goddamn word. And I remember it was like 2 a.m. I'm stepping outside to have a cigarette. My dad's just wide awake staring at the TV. And I, just to make conversation, go, what you watching? And his response was, she'll call. Now that moment, I started thinking about my mom. And I hadn't thought about her in days at that point, right? And the first thing I remember, the first thing I think about was the time she punched me in the jaw. I know, that opens up an entire new conversation. Like, should you hit your kids? All depends on your definition of kid. I was 21 when it happened. Her and I were in an argument that day. And we were always in an argument. My mom and I argued non-fucking stop. But on that day, I went too far. I said things that couldn't be taken back, and she made a mom threat. Mom threats are obvious. Boy, do not raise your voice at me again. That's when you're supposed to back down, walk away, get about a couch and a half's distance between you, and then you go, bitch. And if she hears you, you got a couch and a half head start. Moms ain't that fast, or so I thought. I went the other way because I was a little fucking monster back then. I was taller than my mom too, so I got up on top of her, looking down on her like, why? What the fuck you gonna do? I'll raise my voice whenever the fuck I please. Hit me, bitch. It was so fast. Lightning would have blushed and thunder would have fainted at the speed of this punch. And I saw it all too late. Her feet were planted. She was in an L stance. And her knees got springy. And the moment the word bitch left my mouth for its voyage across my sister's birthday party, she threw that punch from the hips that birthed me. What? With the left. That's what threw me off the most. The left. All my life I'd known my mom to be right-handed. I'd spent 15 plus years deflecting mom rights, but she adapted and now came at me with this southpaw bullshit. With this ambidextrous quality that I did not inherit, right across the jaw, right? And I'll never forget, I went demonic right away. My thought process, like, I'm about to fuck this lady up. I don't give a shit, I'm about to beat her ass. I'm about to cause her more pain than I did during childbirth, which until now was physically the most painful shit one can experience. It's also emotionally and mentally the most painful thing one can experience. I mean, millions of women suffer from postpartum. That's kind of fucked up. Another million women die every year just in the act of giving birth, even in first world countries, yet they do it year in and year out. They take the risk, knowing it's a risk, but they do it because when you think about it, it is a miracle. And she fucking did that for me. I never even asked what her dreams were. Fuck. I wonder what other sacrifices she's made that I'm not even aware of. And then I cried. And she made me a grilled cheese. That is good parenting. Negotiations had broken down. She took a leap of faith in me, her creation. She believed in me enough to punch me in the fucking jaw, knowing that could either turn me into a scumbag or a decent human being. And here I am. A stand-up comedian. But that's today. On September 2nd, 2005, I was just some dumb shit on my sister's front porch, halfway through An American Spirit. So I'd been out there for like half an hour at least. And my dad's phone had been ringing for at least a drag. And he hadn't answered it yet. So I turned and I looked through the window and I could see him in there. I could see him in there breathing heavier and heavier, bracing himself for this call. I could see that when he answered it, it took everything for him to do that. I could see he didn't even get to identify himself as he always did. All I had to do was get there on time, and she could have came with me. All I had to do was get there on time, but I was a fucking piece of shit. At that moment, I stopped believing in a God and started wishing there were gods. Old school style fucking gods that would take me as a sacrifice and bring her back if need be. All I had to do was not be this. The world doesn't fucking need this. The world doesn't need another fat, bearded loudmouth with some sob stories. All I had to do was be a son for once. And the world wouldn't be punishing them because of me. Fuck me. And then he answered and crumbled. And if you've never heard a grown man crumble, it sounds a lot like this. Oh, baby. Oh, baby, I'm so glad you called. I'm so glad you called, baby. It was her. His other wife. I'm just fucking with you. I had to do it. Listen, I had to bring you there with me then so you could be here with me now. It was her, my mother. She lived. And right then and there, I developed an OCD tic that I carry with me forever, and it is this. I have to let go so that life can move on. No matter what it is, let go and move on. It's the only way to keep living. Just like my father in that moment had to let go of that phone call. She was on a satellite phone, only had 3 minutes, had to share it with the entire fucking hospital, okay? Just like he then let go of a reservoir of emotion. His soulmate was still alive. Just like he then let go of the loudest, most emotional raspberry rim shot I have ever heard. I mean, it was perfect. A perfect fart. Just right? A full octave. Like, I think it was in the key of G sharp. I didn't know a fart could tell a story. If a stranger had heard that fart, they'd be like, well, that's quite the saga. I'm glad she lived. And just like then and there, from that front porch, I let go of a, oh! Let go. Now, this is something I try to remember, but she reminds me of as much as she possibly can. On October 31st, 2017, right? And that day in New York, in Manhattan, on the west side, there was a terrorist attack. A guy got a van and ran 8 people over, killed them, right? And then it ended. It was bad and it ended. And then for the next day, I was receiving phone calls, texts, emails, direct messages. Any way you could reach out to someone, people were reaching out to me to make sure I was okay. Everyone, friends I hadn't spoken to in a decade, family members I'd written off after the last Bush administration. Everyone. Family members I liked. My immediate family. Everyone was reaching out to me to make sure I was good. Everyone except my mom. Radio silence from this woman. And I just couldn't let it go. I was just in my head about it, like, who the fuck does she think she is? I'm her firstborn son. What the fuck is wrong with her? Oh, is this how she wants to show me she doesn't love me anymore? She thinks she can get away with that shit? This is crazy. And I couldn't let it go. And finally, nights later, I'm at a bar, shit-faced, out of my mind, hammered, and I start sending her a string of very passive-aggressive, cunty texts. It's the only way I can describe them. Like, hi, Mom. My name is Sean, in case you don't have this number saved. It's spelled S-E-A-N. It's me, your firstborn son, pride of the herd. Your words, not mine. And I was just reaching out to let you know that I am fine. And within a minute, she responded, yeah, Sean, I assumed you were fine, because it all happened on a bike path. And then, love you, got a grilled cheese waiting. Thank you all very much. Thank you, New Orleans.
I'll just get this out of the way. I am aware of my accent as well. I don't need you guys just staring at me, being like, where's it come from? Because that happens every show I do. The first 5 minutes, they won't let me be a person with thoughts. It's just a guessing game. They're like, is it Texas? No. Mississippi? I'm like, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. I just tell them, Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee. Every time, I'm like, oh, you like a redneck? I'm like, absolutely not. Highly offensive, what you just said. Then they're like, you like a hillbilly? I relate.
My husband and I met at the University of Tennessee while he was stalking me. He was so in love with me. And tell me, you said, what'd you say your name was? Because I'm in brain fog. Nick, let me tell you something. I was cute, Nick. I was so cute. I was thin, and I had eyebrows. And my husband was so tickled with me that he bought me presents for no reason, no special occasion. I guess you boys know what he was after. He got it. So now, and that was sinful. It was the 80s. So I had a bunch of kids by him and married him, had a bunch of kids, and then now, Lord, we've been married, it'll be 28 years in April. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, y'all. I truly believe that he would not pull me out of a burning vehicle. I I've had a big week. I've been in Portland, Oregon this week. Yeah, and they're so weird. And the little guy that introduced me did not identify as human. And so he had to introduce me as a wife and mother, and that was hard. But anyway, I've been in Portland, and then I was in Tampa last night. I know, and they were darling. And then I go to Orlando tomorrow night, and then I go home. But anyway, I hope that I can remember what I'm saying, because I've been going and working a lot, and I am in full menopause. I do a podcast called Sweaty and Pissed. Thank you. My nurse practitioner, I do it with her, and she's brilliant. So she talks about the medical part, and I talk about pinto beans. But anyway, she just did my annual, and I'm 54 years old, and she said, Leanne, you got to take that IUD out. It's time. You're old and crusty, and you don't need it anymore. And it hurt my feelings, because I always thought I'd be able to have children as long as I lived, which was crazy, because I'm 54, I'd leave a baby at Target by accident. But anyway, she put on a big headlamp, went in and got it, and then let me borrow it later for a hike. But let me tell y'all, my husband never had a vasectomy, and he said, I'm not going to get one, Leanne, because what if something happens to you? I know, and I need to marry a young woman, and she wants children. And I said, bless her heart. I'll pray for her. Please don't put a tight budget on her like you have me. Okay. My husband and I are empty nesters. These children walked off and left me with their daddy, and he is so not fun. Because he's got to make a living. He's got to make a living, and all that money going out. Everybody's getting their eyebrows waxed and stuff like that. So, and you know, kids walk out of a room, they don't turn the lights out when they leave, and that makes a man a butthole. But it's just me and him, and we've got 2 beagles that we are in love with, and we just sit and kiss them in the mouth, and because we miss these kids so bad, and we let them sleep in the bed with us, these dogs, and they're nasty. He looks smart. Do you do math? I know it, honey. I get it. I dig it. Okay, so I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. Okay, so we get in the bed. We've got 2 beagles. The oldest one is from Ogden, Utah. My husband got him on a business trip and flew out there on a company plane, and the plane needed to be worked on, and so he went to a parking lot and called me and said, there's a man in a parking lot with a box full of beagles, puppies, and I want one of them. And I said, this isn't a good time for me. And he said, it'll be fine, and hung up the phone. But that beagle has been yummy, and he's now 12 years old. He's a little old man, white in the face. I know he's yummy, and my husband worships him. So we get in the bed, and my husband pulls him up to him and spoons him in the bed. And that old beagle looks at me like, I don't want him. I want you. And I say, hold on. And when my husband drifts off to sleep, then that old beagle scooches over and gets in the crook of my legs. All right, and he's a hot, hairy beagle. I'm in full menopause. So menopause, for y'all that are not haven't gone through it yet, you feel like you're being microwaved from within. And it comes out the top of your head. And it's really bad at night. It's covers off, covers on, covers off, covers on. It makes you bitter. Okay, so anyway, he scooches over and gets in the crook of my leg. So I end up on a king-size bed, about this much room. Then the little beagle, who's a pocket beagle named Gigi, who is yummy, she gets in the bed, turns around several times, bangs her little butthole up against my face. And I don't care because I love her. And I just want to sleep, and it's not going to happen. Because when you're in menopause, you don't sleep. And I don't want to get hooked on dope. So I take melatonin, passion flower, GABA, L-theanine, Valerian root, and pray to the dear Lord that I can fall asleep. And just when I get in a deep REM, my husband, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what happens, but he jostles awake, reaches over, and grabs one of my breasts. And it puts me into a blind rage. And I know you boys need that. And that's the way God made y'all. And when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask him about it. That's how y'all show love. But I say to my husband, I know you want to do it, and I'll do it. I'll do it. But can we do it before 10 o'clock? When I know my name, and I know your name. But I waller in the bed all night. I waller. Do y'all know anybody from Tennessee? Do I need an interpreter? Oh, okay. We say words like waller. We waller dogs and waller babies, and I'm wallering in the bed all night. And then I get up the next morning, and I think, oh, I'm going to clean out a closet. I hadn't slept one bit. This Fitbit says to me, you hadn't slept, girl. Okay, so I go to clean out a closet, and I end up in the driveway, and I don't even know how I got there. Let me tell you boys up here in Naples, y'all, I saw these fancy cars out here. My husband is very, very tight with money. Let me tell y'all that I'm driving a 2009 white Honda Pilot that's got 235,000 miles on it. Last year, lights started coming on saying, get out, Leanne. My husband drives a Tahoe, and the T and A is gone. He is very tight and has been saving for our retirement since he was 26 years old. I know. I hope I can live to enjoy it. But he doesn't like to spend money. So anyway, I need to get a new car, and I've been looking out here in this parking lot. If God forbid something happened to him, I'd go on Weight Watchers and come down here. And even though, Lord, me and my best friend, we've talked about it because I'm 54, she's 55, and we've talked about, Lord, what if we had to get a man? What if we had to get out here and date? I mean, it would cost me $1,000 just for the grooming. I've got something wrong with this toe. Toenail. I need to be on Lamisil. It's thick. Oh, if I had to get out here. She loves her husband, but she said, oh, well, if I had to, I guess I could show somebody my left breast. She said, it looks okay. Oh, y'all, all right, let me tell y'all that I've got 3 children I'm in love with, and I wanted more. And I told their daddy I want a 4th baby, and he said, y'all are sucking the financial life out of me. So he bought me a dachshund. We were living down in Texas, and she was a doll baby, and she lived to be a little old woman, and she had thyroid issues, and so did I. And so we had to get on thyroid medication at the same time, and we both gained a lot of weight. And I was walking her in our neighborhood, and a little girl came out and said, "Can I pet your groundhog?" But anyway, all right. The 3 children I did get to have been a blessing, and I'm in love with them. I've got a boy and 2 girls, and my boy has been so much easier to raise. Who do you think's easier to raise, boys or girls? Just yell it out. Boys. Every once in a while there'll be a frail little woman yell out, "Girl." But I think she's being threatened. No, I love my girls. I love my girls. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But my boy has been so easy. And I got to tell y'all, I think firstborn, they are. You know, they want to please you and that kind of thing. But he was born an old man. Have you known anybody that was born an old soul? He was born an 80-year-old man. He has had a garden since he was in 6th grade. He cans his own food. I know. Yummy. I know. Woodworks. Makes his own spoons. I know. He wanted to learn how to play the banjo and the mountain dulcimer and the mandolin when he was in middle school with khaki breeches on. Okay, that angel from heaven. So we call him our little Billy Graham. He's been very spiritually mature. I did not do it. My husband didn't do it. We're full of sin. But we've been washed in the blood. But anyway, so my boy has loved gospel bluegrass. His favorite artist is Dr. Ralph Stanley. Little Dr. Ralph Stanley's no longer with us, but he lived to be in his 90s, and he was the godfather of Mountain Soul. And he came to Knoxville to the Bijou Theater, and I took my boy, he was about 15, and little Dr. Ralph, they propped him up on stage. Had a little cowboy hat propped up on his head. Almost threw my panties at him. Because that's what you do at Tom Jones. But anyway, I was sitting there listening to Dr. Ralph sing a song about a robin laid an egg on Daddy's grave. And I thought, how many teenagers are listening to this? What are teenagers listening to? Walk a Flock of Flame? I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had to yell at my boy, turn that bluegrass down. If I hear I Saw the Light one more time,